if we do get a market structure shift and get a close below this 100k level, there's a chance we could actually go all the way down and actually hit this level where I've said you need a bounce here, because if we don't get a bounce here, then we're going all the way back down to around 65, 66, 67k.
So welcome back from the future. 6 weeks on from that, perfect inauguration sell-off event. We was looking at this level here, and obviously this level wasn't able to hold. So now it's looking a bit sticky for crypto. I called that on the 26th of February, and it's currently the 10th of March. But what's driving the sell-off? And are we going to hold these levels down here? These are one of the main questions I've got. The reason I even asked that question, whether or not we're going to hold these levels, because there's liquidity building up here. And in case you don't know who I am, I'm TN, also known as Take Note. I write tired as well, Take Note. So you should listen to the advice and take some notes, because I got some great calls. Not all of them are right, but I'm proud of my experience in technical analysis. One thing I do want to say is this crypto crash that's happening, this risk asset crash that's happening, stock market, crypto, VIX is up 20% today. This crash that's going on, it's not built upon, just Trump and tariffs. Like, that might be what mainstream news is talking about, but it's not built up solely on Trump and tariffs. It's actually built up upon recession fears. And that's why I want to talk to you about what's different in this cycle. Let me just quickly analyze this market. So in the clip I showed you, I mentioned that we needed to bounce off this level. We bounced off the level. We failed at a following fair value gap. Institutions came in and sold. This is what I call a lower high, building up momentum to break this level. Now, we're breaking this level, and now we're approaching the level below it. Are we going to be able to bounce off this level and maybe start to try and create a bottom before rallying higher? Or are we actually just going to break right through it and this fear going to, increase? Are we going to start looking to hit lower levels? And why is this important? Why do I think that we could possibly hit lower levels? When crypto falls off a cliff and when we start declining with momentum downwards, the issue with crypto is like a leveraged asset. And what I mean by leveraged asset is we tend to, when the stock market falls, crypto tends to fall faster and harder. When the stock market rises, crypto tends to rise faster and harder. I'll show you an example of this. So look, between the election and February 8th, February 19th, where we put in a high, between that, okay, I just put on 21st of February. For that month that we rallied, the NASDAQ 100, which is the top 70 stocks in America, the top 100 stocks in America, that rallied roughly 10%. In that same period of time, Bitcoin managed to rally 42%. So that's 4 times as much. Bearing in mind, we put the high in crypto on the inauguration day. So we rallied 3 times as much as the NASDAQ, the tech stocks, as we did on Bitcoin. That tells us that it's a leverage bet. When people go long in the stock market, they go long in crypto. In the same way, when people go, short on the stock market, they're going to go short on crypto. And if we start breaching these levels here, we could start targeting even lower levels. And that's why this situation sort of scares me. Bitcoin is a great asset, don't get me wrong, when the markets are good. But when the markets are bad, crypto falls just as hard. We could look at this during the COVID pandemic. Bitcoin fell almost 40%. So it peaked out on the 17th of February. And within the space of a month, it fell almost 60%. I'll say 50-60%. It fell from 9,000 to, roughly 4,000. Let's call it 50%. That's a 50% decline in a very short amount of time. This is dangerous. When the stock market is in full-on fear mode, which you can see is beginning to present itself on the NASDAQ, it's presenting itself on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's presenting itself on crypto, on Bitcoin itself. This is dangerous for the markets. This is why I have a belief that if the US goes into recession, and I think everyone should try and do some research, especially if you're looking to hold your positions in crypto and hold your positions in the stock market. If you hold your positions during a recession, that's the worst time to hold your positions. The last recession that the US had was during the 2008 financial crisis. And we all know what happened during the 2008 financial crisis. If we have a recession similar to that, maybe not on the level as that, but if we have a recession like that, there's no guaranteeing that Bitcoin is going to hold its price. I think there's a chance we could even get, sub 40K. I think there's a whole bunch of, fair value that hasn't yet been filled down at this level here at 31,000. This is what scares me about crypto, because on the downside, it could absolutely go anywhere. Like, we could easily just, present this head and shoulders where we've seen this, neckline there, get another failed rally and actually come and complete this level. I want you guys to hold me to this, because I think this could be the setup that actually takes place. It's going to be interesting to see, but at the same time, the US economy, the US central bank tends to, want to try and print money to try and sort things out. The only difference is there's inflation that's sticky at the moment. And this is what's scaring the markets. The idea that if the US goes into recession with inflation still slightly elevated, and we've got CPI news on Wednesday this week, if the US goes into recession, if there's weakness in US markets during a recession, it's going to be extremely dangerous for risk assets because the Federal Reserve might be a bit more wary. They might not want to, print money straight away. And if you don't know already, that's the main way they stimulate the economy, by printing money, distributing it to, individuals during COVID or to institutions during the great financial crisis in order to cover their debts. But the markets are terrified about this, and it seems like Trump doesn't seem to, not care about what he recently done an interview. And if I could get a snippet of it, I'll try and put it in.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
And if I'm being honest, I think he's only able to do this because he's not up for re-election next year. Not next year, the next, he's done his 2 terms. It's going to be a second term. So he's actually trying to make a difference now. And this is what's a bit different with Trump. But look at the markets go. Everything's accelerating. I would recommend people, if you didn't take my advice prior, to take some chips off the table prior to this. I think now might be the best time, But anyway, that's my 2 cents on crypto markets and risk assets. I think things are only just getting started, but nevertheless, I wish you guys all the best. It's been Take Note.